Welcome to Sales Tech Stars SalesStar Podcast. This is where we feature news, tips, and insights on B2B sales. Happy to have you here. Mike Smith, Senior Director Enterprise Sales at CData, joins us in this episode of the SalesStar Podcast to discuss a few modern-day sales ops best practices and trends. Before we go further, Mike, we'd love it if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what really inspired you to foray into sales.
Thanks, Parama. My name's Mike Smith. As she said, I'm the Senior Director of Enterprise Sales at CData. I've been at CData for about 6-8 months, but prior to that, I've been in sales pretty much my entire career, 22 years of experience in sales and leading sales teams. So been in the game for quite a while. Most of my time spent prior to CData at a company called SAS Institute. I spent 20 years there. Prior to that, I think I first got into sales for 2 years out of college, selling into kind of the communication space. And I think I really started out in sales as a communication major, doing some nonlinear video editing, and ended up getting a job as a salesperson with one of the companies where I actually had been demoing or doing kind of a systems engineer type of job with some of the systems that I used in college, and got into sales and ended up hitting my number the first year I was there, and I've been doing it ever since. So I really enjoy sales a lot. I enjoy the fast-paced nature of it. Really enjoy that it's something different every day, and I like the interaction with the customers and being able to do something different every day.
Absolutely. So I'm sure over all these years, there have been some very interesting observations and trends that you've been following, and especially, with what has surpassed the last 2 years because of the global pandemic. There's been a lot of change, there's been a lot of innovation, and there's especially been a lot of attention on operations and sales operations and rev ops, these teams, these newer terms and technologies and tools specific to these processes have now come into the limelight a lot more. They have been important all along, but now is the time when people are talking about it, opening up to it more, understanding the importance of a very strong operations process to align different teams, to align better sales internally, sales processes and sales models. So we'd love to hear from you. What is the role of sales ops today in building a modern day sales organization?
Well, sales operations or sales ops, link sales with the entire organization to smooth and support every process that touches sales. The landscape has changed dramatically in the past decade, especially amid digital transformation. And that change is only accelerated with COVID, forcing every enterprise to really become digital first. There are no elements of sales that, will really go untouched by this digital transformation. I think it touches, pretty much everything. Customer purchasing processes from the first step, and the need for a true customer 360 view, touches sales forecasting and accounting practices, how our sales and marketing teams go to market together, and even how operations fulfills sales and delivers value for customers.
So on the one hand, it's been important for teams to sort of drive better sales ops and sales processes internally. On the other, it's also been important for complete teams, both sides, sales and marketing, to understand how customer purchasing processes and behaviors have changed. A lot of people are saying probably just going to come back to what it used to be during pre-COVID days. So how are you seeing customer purchasing processes change today?
I think the big trend that we all know is sales is moving to be all digital now. Gartner's forecasting more than 80% of even B2B sales will be 100% digital by 2025. But it really is a massive sea change. And it's something where you have to think about the entire customer purchasing process in the context of digital interactions. Only a few years ago, especially for B2B type sales and even larger B2C sales, a lot of that process was offline, or at least in direct conversations with sales teams. That's really changing now. Customers expect to be able to do more than ever on their own, mostly online, without having the hassle of going through a sales gatekeeper. They expect more availability of information up front, more ability to watch a demo or at least a webinar with some overview of your product or service. People are really into the free trials whenever it's applicable. And most people are expecting pricing to be somewhat transparent now for most things. I think even, customer references are often found on review sites and testimonials in case studies. It's more rare for customers, I think, to actually call a reference unless you're talking about a much larger purchase. The whole process does change the way organizations and sales teams need to manage that process. So much of sales is now really about creating a very intentional and smooth digital customer experience. And a lot goes into that. Sales ops and the necessary process integration is really the big missing piece in a lot of organizations. It's become very evident that a lot of customers purchasing and buying cycles and things, they're 70% of their minds probably made up prior to ever engaging with somebody on the sales team these days, thanks to the digital nature of everything we have going on.
So obviously, when there's a change in that buying behavior, in that customer process, there has to be a change. There has to be a collateral change in marketing, in sales, and everything else that a business sort of wants to do and does. So in your view, how is the role of the sales team changing today?
From a sales perspective, we're still doing many of the same things. We're still got to build relationships, negotiating price, closing deals, answering customer questions. But the job of the sales team has also changed in significant ways. Sales isn't, spending much of its time on outbound prospecting as much these days. It does happen, but we're not spending as much time cold calling and trying to scare up conversations. So much of that now is done through marketing sequences and ads, or at least in tandem where the teams are working together. Sales also isn't the only or even primary go-to source for customers to get a basic education on our products. Again, most of that, as we said before, is done online through ongoing customer education in the marketing process and through pre-sales teams. We're very much that way at CData, with pre-sales handling a lot of things up front as far as customer interaction prior to the sales teams engaging. And we're also not wanting to have to hunt as much for details on specific accounts and customer information. Sales is becoming more of the consumer of key customer data. By the time prospects are talking to sales, you've hopefully already gotten most of the information you need to be able to put together an intelligent proposal. We're talking about for bigger deals. And of course, for the smaller ones, it's a whole lot more transactional, but you're really trying to prioritize your time where you spend it on those types of opportunities. So again, it comes back to really creating a seamless digital customer experience, making the process more frictionless at every step for the customer. For marketing and sales, that means being intentional about getting the right message to the right prospect at the right time, and obviously through the right channel, which is important. This takes data. You need a 360-degree view of your customers and a deep understanding and intel into their experiences.
The last thing you just talked about, the 360-degree view of a customer, that's something that a lot of teams still find challenging. And again, this involves a lot of centralization when it comes to processes as well as tools and technology. So we'd love if you can talk more about this need to have a comprehensive 360-degree view and how teams can sort of achieve it better.
Yeah, customer 360 really means having a complete picture of your customers' interactions with your company. Are they engaged with you on social platforms? Where are they in your marketing email sequences? Are they downloading free trials and connecting with you that way? How active are they with your technical support teams and elsewhere within the company? Which product features and needs do they care about? What's their specific use case, their role in the organization for B2B, or problem they're solving in both B2B and B2C. You need real-time data and intelligence into these things so that you're surfacing the right messages on your website and online chats. If you're doing demos and intro calls, you're providing the right information, and on through to your follow-up and closing calls. The good news and the billion-dollar opportunity is that the data is actually there because all of these customer experiences are digital these days, and that data really didn't used to be there. So you don't have to really fly blind anymore or go through as much painstaking customer research if your systems, just automatically surface the data for you in a consumable way. And that's the goal.
Absolutely. So for organizations and teams that are sort of setting up new processes and they have this aim of creating this complete holistic 360-degree view, what basic tips would you share with them today?
Sales ops teams and the IT teams that support them have a few main paths for this. First, you have to have the basic sales infrastructure in place. CRM and marketing automation system, your Salesforce and Pardot or Microsoft Dynamics and HubSpot. You need order data flowing into that system from your website or your e-commerce platform, whether it's Amazon or Shopify or wherever you might do business. You also want it there from your support tools, if you can, your Freshdesk or whatever support ticketing system that you have in place for customer support. These integrations really provide sales teams with the data that they need. You also ultimately need to get all of this data into places where you can have analysts work with it and find insights in the data. That means getting unified views of data inside BI and analytics platforms like Power BI, Tableau, QuickSight, ClickSense, Amazon QuickSight, or still today, even just Excel and things like Google Sheets. People still running a lot of business on tools like that.
Absolutely. And we'd love to hear about CData specifically now, because we know that the brand offers a number of solutions for data connectivity. What are the data integration options for accessing and analyzing sales data that you'd like to highlight?
Sure. For the analytics piece, which is critical for Customer 360 and sales intelligence trends and reporting, there are basically three operational options. The first is our platform connectors. So these are connectors that can install right into your analytics tools. And all you have to do is first install them into a Power BI or a Tableau, Excel, Google Sheets, what have you. Then essentially enter a username and password to your data source, Salesforce, HubSpot, BigCommerce, and the data is just there. CData offers over 250 connectors and counting, the most of any company in the market, and we have the highest performance available. The second option is a product called CData Connect or CData Cloud, which is basically bundles of all of these connectors together in a single virtual cloud interface. So it's a similar experience to the drivers, except you don't have to install the connectors into an end platform. CData Connect takes care of that for you. It creates really a central data virtualization of all of these connectors for your use. Last option would probably be data warehousing. So to simplify, you can basically copy all of your data into a central database or data warehouse. From there, it's all in one place. A lot of organizations have pre-configured workflows or scripts to access that data in different places or to make use of it. That's usually an IT function. But if you don't already have all sales and marketing data flowing into a central data warehouse, it's not hard to get it flowing. You need a data pipeline tool, a data replication tool, something like our CData Sync product. And these things don't necessarily have to be one or the other. They can work in tandem. It's probably ideal for most organizations to have both a central cloud integration center as well as a Connect Cloud, and that makes data from the data warehouse.
And what are some of the other sales ops and integration requirements that you feel organizations should have today, or that you've been seeing them have a lot more of today?
I think another big one that comes to mind is sales forecasting and reporting. The sales teams run on sales forecasts. I know I run mine on sales forecasts. And then making your numbers, it's how you do bonuses and compensation, how you give your team a target to shoot for. But forecasting is really broken for most sales teams. There was a recent study on this. It was from Upland, and they found sales teams spend about 5% of their time just on forecasting, and those forecasts are usually wrong. So they're only about 75% accurate, which is kind of crazy. So if your sales team spending all this time making forecasts and hitting numbers is how you earn your bonuses, then you want those numbers to be right. You want to be able to, they can't be off by 25% all the time, not anymore. This is another case where you really, again, need to feed data into the right places. That's what gives you that 90-95% or better forecasting opportunity. You need integrations between CRM and accounting. That's Salesforce and QuickBooks integration, or Dynamics 365 and NetSuite. You need all of your sales and financial data available inside reporting tools that you can use. Again, your Power BI, Tableau, QuickSight, what have you. You've got to, again, have that availability of data where it's actionable, and you can even really take the sales forecasting and put it more into the hands of a data analyst who can see across the whole business. Sales guys can then really be freed up to hit their numbers and not spend as much time, doing the forecasting. And they'll be happy about that. They're actually making the number more often because the numbers and everything are more realistic. So, and you can also know more when to push as a team, where you can push the envelope a bit with your reps and really be aggressive while also driving the bonus incentives for them.
Absolutely. So you did mention that the sales forecasting piece is a little way off, and obviously seems to be a little bit of a challenge for a lot of companies still today, despite all the technologies, tools, and data that they have access to. How do you get those integrations in place? What would you suggest that teams do?
Well, it would historically be a big lift to get that all up view, but it's not really anymore. The sales and reporting 360 is really a similar process to the customer 360 view. You have your same integration requirements, just different sets of data. So it's all about making data accessible. So once again, you basically can feed it into a data warehouse, use connectors to access data where you need it, or basically create virtualized views of your data in a unified cloud view. And CData really does all of that for you. That's why we're here.
Absolutely. And that's why we're having this conversation. We'd love it if you can talk a little bit more about CData and the range of products and how it's enabling all of this for B2B teams today.
Sure. So CData software, we're basically the data connectivity company. We help organizations solve the data proliferation problem. Organizations today use 200 or so tools on average. They have all this data spread everywhere across all of these systems. It's this insane proliferation problem. You have all these tools and these petabytes of data, but what do you do with all of it? How do you actually turn data into that digital transformation everyone is talking about all the time? That's where we come in. We offer the greatest breadth of data connectivity on the market. We make it possible to access data from more than 250 data sources wherever we're kind of like the Baskin Robbins of connectivity. Whatever flavor you need, we have it. So you can really build this truly unified or connected enterprise. That's the buzzword, the connected enterprise. And CData helps you basically access the data where you need, when you need it, and how you need it. Just to get into the weeds a little bit, we've historically built our business with standards-based connectors. They basically remove the need for custom API development. So you just install them and can work with the data where you need it. If you or a data analyst on your team knows SQL, which everybody has a SQL guy these days, a data analytics guy, you can run a much higher level of analytics that would have required a team of developers in the past. We also offer these connectors in a unified cloud connectivity platform called CData Connect, where you can manage all of your integrations in one place and get total access to your data. And we also support the classic data warehousing use case with our CData Sync product, replication tool. So pipe all of that data from your data sources into one central data warehouse, pipe data from Salesforce into Snowflake or into any cloud tool or any cloud data warehouse. But also and this is what is truly unique to CData, something really no one else can do. If you have any of these legacy on-prem systems or run things through SQL Server, you can directly cross that firewall and migrate into a cloud platform like a Snowflake with our CData Sync product. It's secure. You can migrate on-prem to cloud, and nobody does that piece better than us. And lastly, you can also use the connectors or CData Connect to access data that's centrally stored in your data warehouse. So it kind of comes full circle. Just touch on a few more. We also have some specific point solutions like DBAMP. DBAMP creates a two-way data flow between Salesforce and SQL Server. The reverse ETL case, it's just another way to do it. But a big picture, we help enterprises get their data where they need so they can create this unified connected enterprise. The connectivity supports SalesOps, supports digital transformation, modernization, and smoother sales marketing alignment and a better customer experience. So if you haven't heard of us, we've been around for a while, but we have been growing rapidly over the past 3 to 4 years, really, and recently closed a big Series B back in November. So we're really trying to get the word out now a bit more.
Absolutely. So how can people learn more about connectivity, SalesOps, and CData in the future?
Sure. We have a webinar online. You can find our website on the topic. You can go out and register for that on the CData.com. And I think there may even be a link here on the Sales Tech series to that webinar. We're also on YouTube and LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. We put a lot of good educational content out there too, so you can learn more about enabling sales ops and automation through good data integration.
Absolutely. I think, Mike, this was a very interesting conversation, and given today's typical B2B challenges and hiccups that teams commonly seem to be coming across, most of these tips and thoughts that you've shared with us will probably come handy. And we really appreciate the time that you've taken to share all of this with us today. Before we wrap up, though, if you'd like to share a couple of last minute takeaways or last thoughts before we end this conversation, that would be great.
Thanks, Parama. I certainly appreciate the time. I do hope that for anybody listening, if you've got data connectivity questions, certainly look us up and give us a shot. Very easy company to work with. As we talked a little bit about earlier, CData falls into this. We're really focusing on the digital transformation piece and trying to really create a seamless experience for our customers. So very easy to engage with us with free trials of the products and things on our website. So if you're thinking about data integration tools and how to really take that to the next level, please do look us up and give us a shout. We'd love to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Mike, for your time today. And until the next time, we wish you and the team all the very best.
Thank you very much.